start seated today. So if you prefer, you could sit in a chair. You could grab something to sit on, like a bolster or a blanket. You could sit cross-legged here if you want to, or with your legs straight out, or any kind of variation that works well for you. Just let your hands rest on your legs or in your lap somewhere. Try to sit up nice and tall, maybe closing your eyes so you can feel a sense of liftedness through the crown of your head. And then notice if you're sitting too tall, maybe relaxing just a little bit, balancing comfort and strength. And starting to scan your body, letting your awareness just go throughout, noticing anything that needs noticing in this moment. Checking in with the breath, if that means loosening up the abdominal muscles so that when you breathe in, the diaphragm there has more space to expand. And slowing down, deepening your breath. If you would like to set a dedication or intention for today's class, feel free to bring something to mind. With an exhale, letting your chin come down closer to your chest. Just soften in there, smoothing out your breath and feeling the back of your neck, the upper shoulders. You might even kind of shift slightly through the shoulders. We're just kind of letting everything open up back there. And using an exhale, bringing your right ear toward your right shoulder, and then coming back to a steady pace of breath. Noticing the left side of the neck. Using an exhale to bring the chin down to the center of the chest, and then your left ear toward your left shoulder. And once again, softening in for a couple breaths. This time we're paying closer attention to the right side of the neck. And go ahead and let your head kind of dip down to center, back and forth a couple of times. Feel free to move your shoulders a little bit as you go. Maybe circling your shoulders or twisting a little bit through the shoulders. Eventually, bringing your chin back down to the center of the chest. Let's take a little easy forward fold over your crossed legs. So you don't have to try hard here, just melting forward, maybe bringing your hands to blocks or the floor. And just continuing to let this fold unfold over the course of the next few breaths. And you might notice the breath expanding more through the back, low back area. letting each breath soften and stretch through the spine and the muscles of the back. Starting to walk your hands back up if they were very far out. Let's bring the hands behind us for support. Puff the chest up here. Just kind of stretch through the chest. We're looking up a little bit. A little bit of a back bend. And then if your legs were crossed, let's switch the cross of the legs. So whichever one was in back is now in front. And once again, taking a little forward fold over your crossed legs. Eventually making your way back up. And again, finding that little back bend, little counter pose here. So just bringing maybe the fingertips or the hands to the floor, puffing the chest up. Hugging your shoulder blades together behind you. And then back to the center. Let's straighten the right leg. We'll bend the left knee here. You can hold on to your knee or shin. Kind of sit up nice and tall, pulling your leg in towards you as much as it feels comfortable to do so. You can keep your left foot right here or pick up your left foot and cross it over to the right side of your right thigh. And then we're going to take a twist to the left. The left hand will reach behind you, support on the floor, for support on the floor. And your right arm can either wrap around your leg or just kind of hold on where it feels comfortable, puffing up the chest here, sitting up nice and tall. With your exhales, just kind of holding that leg a little tighter, maybe turning to look toward the left shoulder. Let's stay here for a couple of breaths, inhaling enough so you can get your full breath in, and then exhaling as you twist toward the left. One more like that. And then coming back to center. We're keeping the left leg crossed here, but we're coming into a figure four. So your shin, gets a little more parallel. You can stay right here, holding on to your knee, holding on to your foot. I'm just gonna circle out your left ankle. If you want to, maybe kind of squeezing the toes or giving your foot a little massage as you circle out that joint. Option to stay right here or starting to bend your right knee so that you're coming more into like this figure four position with your knee a little bit bent. I personally like to put my hands behind me and kind of puff the chest up here and combine the two. What we were doing before with the little back bend. For me, this just feels very good. If it's too much, just letting your right leg go straight again or a little straighter. Find that sweet spot for you. And you might let your figure four legs here twist a little bit side to side. Just a little bit. Taking another breath or two. And then we'll go ahead and straighten both legs, resetting here. And then, of course, we're switching sides. So now the left leg stays straight, the right knee bends. We can hug the right shin, the right knee in as much as we can here, sitting up nice and tall. And we'll take our twist to the right. You can either keep the right foot where it's at or cross it on over to the outside of the left thigh. Right hand comes behind you for support. Puffing up the chest, sitting up nice and tall here. Taking your breath in with your exhale. little more of a twist to the right, looking toward the right shoulder. With each breath in, unwinding just enough so you can have space for the full inhale. And then exhale to the right. One more like that. Eventually coming back to center and creating that figure four style leg here by bringing the right knee out. So your shin's a little more close to parallel. It doesn't have to be, just wherever it goes is just fine. We can hold on to the right knee and the right foot. Go ahead and circle out your right ankle. Maybe squeezing or massaging your foot a little bit as you go. Why isn't giving yourself a foot massage the same as getting a foot massage from someone else? I don't know. It's always better, I think, when someone else does it. And then you're welcome to stay right here working with this, or starting to bend your left knee a little bit here, maybe bringing your hands behind you for support, pulling the shoulder blades together and puffing up your chest. Kind of refining the bend of that left knee so that you're feeling some stretch, maybe a little bit of challenge, but we're not in pain. We're not in fear of being injured or anything like that. You can let your figure four legs kind of rock side to side a little bit, or just hold steady as you are. All right. Just a couple more breaths. And then releasing this, letting both legs go straight. Coming to your back for a second now. Pulling your knees in toward your chest when you get there. Go ahead and enjoy a little bit of free movement here, circling your knees or rocking a little bit side to side. And eventually heading into a long body stretch, reaching fingers and toes as far away from each other as you can, straightening the arms and legs, reaching and stretching. Let's head into banana pose on the right, walking your heels over toward the right edge of the mat, grabbing hold of your right or your left arm or wrist and gently pulling the upper body as well toward the right, creating that nice long side body stretch, lengthening the left side of the body. Filling that left lung with air, seeing how that maybe enhances or interacts with your stretch. And then switching sides when the time is right, walking your heels to the left, grabbing hold of the right arm or wrist, and gently pulling the upper body to the left as well. And this time, focusing on that lengthening and expansion through the right side, through that right lung. And eventually coming back to the center, rolling onto either side, press your way back up to a seat, and then right on over to hands and knees for cat and cow. Hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips, gripping your fingertips into the floor. With your inhale, cow pose, lowering your belly, lifting your gaze and your tailbone. Let's spend a couple of breaths just in cow pose here. You could kind of wiggle a little bit side to side with your shoulders or your hips. And then as slow as you comfortably can, let's start with the pelvis first. So seeing about tucking your tailbone under and creating this kind of ripple like wave through the spine, eventually finding cat pose with your chin tucking toward your chest and pushing the floor away. So you're really reaching and stretching through the shoulders. And then right on back to cow. Again, if possible, starting with the pelvis. So tilting the tailbone up and letting that ripple through the rest of the spine up to lifting the gaze. And here, let's lower the chest. So we're kind of sinking down into the chest. So versus pushing, we're just kind of letting ourselves rest down. And let's do that a couple times. Cat and cow. You could go a little quicker if you want to, or add on a little bit. Warming up the spine. And remember that most people don't exhale all the way, which can cause like a shortness of breath. You can really expand your breathing capacity and the feeling of your breathing capacity by learning how to exhale a little bit extra. So when you go up into cat pose and you're rounding the spine up, see if you can push the air out, exhale just a little longer before inhaling again. If we can exhale more fully, then we can inhale more fully and help spread fresh oxygen throughout the body. Okay, next up, extended child's pose, knees out wide toward the edges of the mat, big toes touching behind you, sinking your seat toward your heels, maybe bringing your forearms to the floor, or maybe walking your hands toward the top of your mat and then letting your head and heart lower down. Let's work on that full exhale as well here with the addition of our diaphragmatic breath. So letting your belly really expand, letting your rib cage widen with your inhales. Slow and steady exhales with a little extra squeeze at the end. Seeing if you can exhale for an extra second or two. But don't let it be stressful. We're just experimenting with this flow. You could stay right here and keep enjoying your extended child's pose. If you want to add on a thread the needle twist here, we can slowly start to tuck that right arm underneath the left arm, setting the right shoulder and side of the head on the floor, or maybe on a block. Your right head or your right side of your head on a block is kind of nice. Pressing the back of your right arm into the floor. Letting your left hand find a place that feels supportive. And then eventually switching sides. No real rhyme or reason here to how we're switching. We're just slowly threading the left arm underneath and setting the left shoulder inside of the head on the floor or mat. Press the back of your left arm into the mat. And find a place for your right arm, your right hand to be that feels supportive of this position for you. Softening your jaw, softening all the muscles of your face. We'll eventually start to rise on up, coming out of this pose. We'll straighten the legs as we lower down to the stomach. On the floor, we'll take a long body stretch from this side. So arms and legs reaching and stretching in opposite directions. Just feeling how that's a little different when you're on your back versus on your stomach. All right, let's plant hands on either side of the chest. Press your feet down into the mat. With an inhale, find your way up to baby cobra. So we're lifting through the head, through the heart. And then exhale, lower back down. Let's do that again. Inhale, baby cobra, lifting up. And exhale, lower down. One last time. Inhale to rise. And exhale, lower. You could keep your hands where they're at, maybe bringing your forehead to the floor or block if you want to. Let's bend both knees. I'm gonna stack my hands and rest my head on top of my hands here. Instead, that feels more supportive for me. So our feet are in the air behind us. We can circle out the ankles a little bit here. And then allow your feet to sway side to side in a rainbow-like fashion, windshield wiper, back and forth. All right, straightening the legs back out. Let's start to press on up. Grabbing your blocks if you have them. Let's find our first downward dog here. Curling the toes under. Slowly starting to straighten your legs a little bit here. Find your breath first and foremost. Reach through your shoulders. Push your hands into the floor. Maybe pedal legs out, bending and straightening opposite knees. And then bending your knees, look up toward the top of your mat, step or walk your way to the top. Right away here, let's bend the knees and slowly start to rise up. You could bring your hands to your legs for support. Eventually getting to the top here. Let's take a little bit of free movement, a little bit of a shake out if you want to. You can lift and lower your heels a little bit or get your arms and shoulders kind of swinging here. Maybe a little bit of willow tree pose, twisting side to side. For some reason, like dusting my clothes off also feels part of this, so it's kind of freshening things up, getting things moving. All right. So, one huge piece of information that can really help save your low back from, gardening, if you're bending over a lot, or anytime you're, bending forward, we really want to be aware of what it's like to hinge at the hips. So go ahead and feel the hip bones here. You can kind of feel where your waist is, where your hips are. It's kind of a crease here as well. So you can kind of keep your hands here as we go. So notice what a nice tall spine feels like versus rounding over. So we want to keep that neutral spine. Let's start to hinge at the hips. So the upper back, or the whole back, is staying the same. We're just kind of tilting over a little bit, keeping a slight bend of your knees. You'll get to a point where you definitely feel your lower back working. Sometimes this is where we start overcompensating and or kind of weakening here and like leaning forward or rounding forward. We want to keep pulling the shoulders back and maybe come back up. So we'll just do that a couple of times. We're hinging at the hips here, folding in half without rounding forward. Well, not in half, but you know, you might feel your hamstrings starting to kick in here as well. And then just come back up. So this is a very simple yet challenging skill to remember when we bend over. So hinging at the hips here, just go to about a medium amount of range. And then we're going to start to lift the arms ahead of us. So just go slow and then stop when you can feel your low back starting to work. So I'm already feeling it right here. Feeling my low back working, and that's enough. Tighten the core a little bit here. Then we'll stand back up and reset. So it seems kind of simple. Maybe you can feel it already though, the impact, but this will definitely help our patterns of moving. So let's once again hinge at the hips, just a little bit, not too far. And then start to lift your arms out in front of you. Lowering your arms back down. You could do this a couple of times if you want to. Straightening, lifting the arms. And then back down. If you have a mirror by you at all, just make sure there's no rounding. If anything, you can slightly overcompensate by, finding a little bit more of a cow-like back. Okay, when you've had enough, I've already had enough. Come back up, give it a little shake out if you want to. And then step up to the top of your mat. Let's melt forward. We'll have a little ragdoll stretch here. So you might feel that area that we were just strengthening. We'll stretch it on out. So we're just kind of bending forward. You could bend and straighten your knees a little bit here or sway. All right. Bringing hands to your blocks if you have them. Let's step the right foot back and lower the right knee down to the mat. Rising up, bringing both arms high. Exhale, open arm twist toward the left. Let's stay right here with your inhale, looking toward that left hand. Exhale, moving just your head, look toward your right hand. Inhale, looking back. Exhale, exhale, looking forward. Inhale, unwind, come back up to center. And exhale, bring your hands to your blocks. Curl your right toes under. Pick up your right knee. Step your left foot back to downward dog. Big breath in, rising up to your tippy toes. And exhale, sinking your heels down toward the floor, stretching out those calves. Inhale, tippy toes. And exhale, lowering your heels. One more like that. Inhale, tippy toes. And exhale, bend your knees, look up toward the top of your mat, and then walk your hands to the back side of your mat. So you'll end up in a forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift, bringing your hands up to your thighs. That nice, tall, straight spine here. We'll stay right here, bending your knees a little bit more. Inhale, reach your hands out in front of you, feeling for that low back strength. And then exhale, standing up, lowering your hands down by your sides. Inhale, reach hands high. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Take a pause. Listening and noticing any responses or replies from your body. Inhale, reaching hands high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands out to your high plank, shoulders over wrists. Big breath in and out. We're going to step the right foot up to the outside of the right hand as best as you can, just giving it a little help if need be. And then step your left foot out, up and out as well. Kind of a wide-legged forward fold here. We'll toe heel the feet out even wider, so you're really into a wide-legged forward fold. You can kind of shift weight from one foot to the other, bending one knee while you straighten the other a couple times back and forth. Stretching out the adductors, the inner thighs, inner groin, even a little bit as well. Checking in, see if you can have a neutral or kind of flat feeling spine. We're hinging at the hips. Look at us go. Okay, then we'll toe heel the feet in a little closer. We'll step just the left foot back this time, lowering your left knee down to the mat. Inhale and sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, open arm twist to the right, gazing back toward your right hand. Inhale, stay here, look toward the front, left hand. Exhale, looking to the back. Inhale, looking to the front. Exhale, looking back. Inhale, rise back up, unwinding, lifting both arms high, maybe even coming into a little back bend. And exhale, lowering your hands down to blocks. Let's curl the left toes under, pick up your left knee, and then step your right foot back to downward dog. Big breath in and out. 2 more breaths like that. Inhale and exhale. Last one in. Last one out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward the top of the mat. Exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat. Forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift. Staying here, we're already in our kind of hinge at the hips here, so maybe bending your knees a little bit extra. Inhale, reaching your arms out in front of you. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale, stand up, lowering your hands down by your sides. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take another couple moments listening to your body, noticing how things are. Then we'll take a clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. All right, letting your hands come down by your sides. We'll do a little bit of, we'll add on to our figure 4. We'll do a little figure 4 balancing today. So finding a wall or something that can support you in a moment's notice. We could shift the weight back and forth over our feet, just kind of, claiming your spot on the floor here, testing it out, seeing how supportive it is. And then we'll shift over to the right leg. Let's find one-legged mountain pose with the left knee lifting some amount. You could keep your toes down on the floor here or flex and lift. This is a great place to stay. At some point, we want to hopefully be able to do this for like 30 seconds. That would be awesome if we could. So feel free to stay here and work on that. Or cross your right foot just on top, or your right ankle on top of your left. No, the left ankle on top of the right thigh. There we go. You could stay like this, or you could begin to hinge at the hips, sending the hips back, sending the tailbone back. Maybe your hands come to heart center, or you could hold on to your foot and your knee like we were doing before. You could keep trying to hinge forward. We're avoiding the rounding forward. Oh, should not demo rounding forward. And see if you can steady your breath, even if it's very challenging. When you've had enough, standing back up and setting your left foot down, shake out your standing leg. Ooh. All right. And we'll shift sides here. So balancing on the left leg, finding one-legged mountain pose with the right knee, lifting. Maybe staying right here, or figure four, crossing over the other thigh. Trying to keep that hinge at the hips going, no rounding forward. Don't go too far. If you start rounding, and just maybe as a sign that you've gone a little outside of your range. No problem, just coming back. Steady your breath, feel your core engage. Even if you're wobbling, it's okay. Whenever you've had enough, come on up and lower it down. Give yourself a little shakeout here. And then we're heading on down to the floor. Make your way there. We'll eventually hug the knees in towards the chest once you get to your back. So head there at some point soon. And some free movement, circling your knees or rocking and rolling a little bit side to side. We'll do a little happy baby here. So either holding on to your knees or your thighs, or maybe if you can reach your feet, grabbing hold of the inside or outside edges of your feet and pulling your knees toward the armpits. If there are any last poses, movements, or stretches that you want or need before our final rest today, go ahead, move in those ways. Eventually, let's set up for Shavasana. Corpse pose, as we know, letting the arms and legs go long if that's comfortable. If you are dealing with any low back tightness or discomfort when you're laying flat, you can always bend your knees and stand your feet up near the edges of your mat. Pick up the pelvis, tuck your tailbone under, set everything back down, and allow your knees to rest at the center together. Constructive rest. If your arms feel like doing something different, go ahead and explore until you find a position that just kind of clicks with the moment. Softening your jaw, unclenching the jaw, sealing your lips, but letting there be a little bit of space between the biting surfaces of your teeth, and resting as much of your tongue as you can up on the roof of your mouth. Notice or imagine your nasal passageways, your nostrils and your nasal passageways opening, widening, so that it becomes easier and easier for you to breathe. Relax your shoulders, relax the chest. Let the floor or the props hold you up. Try to let go of any effort on your own part holding you up. Let each exhale take with it some stress or some tightness or anything else that needs, I want to say, recycling or digesting, moving. And then coming back to your face, make sure your face is as relaxed as possible. Your eyebrows, relax. Letting the rest of your body follow suit. Just keep an eye on the softness, the sweetness of your face. Any holding in the cheeks or the forehead. Releasing back to that sweet, serene peacefulness. Soften your face, continuously checking for the flow of ease. Please do feel free to stay right here, savoring stillness, savoring rest. Eventually, whether that be in a few seconds or a few minutes or even longer, whenever that is, slowly starting to reawaken your physical body with some gentle movements, wiggling fingers and toes, perhaps. Maybe letting your head slowly rock from one side to the other. Continuing to move and awaken. Maybe yawning or stretching. Eventually turning on to either side, find the fetal position and take at least one more round of breath there. And eventually pressing your way up to a comfortable seat. We will join hands at heart center. Maybe closing your eyes or softening your gaze. Maybe. Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and be free. And may our own thoughts, words, and actions somehow contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. Together, joining thumbs up at third eye center. Let's take a little bow forward of gratitude and seal in our class together. Thank you. All right, thank you everyone for joining today's class. Notice later or maybe tomorrow what your low back is feeling like, maybe your hips. If they're feeling, like you've done some work there, that's good. It's a good sign that what we were doing today is helping and strengthening that part of your body. So maybe trying that hinging at the hips at some point throughout your days in the coming weeks so you can protect your low back. And I hope to see you all again soon.